Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Women Like Me Stories in Business. I'm your host, Julie Fairhurst. Today, I'm with a really lovely lady, and she has quite a story to tell. And we're just really hoping that whoever's listening that they may need to hear this today. And yeah, so just take care of yourselves as we discuss, because some of the things we're going to talk about can be a little bit triggering. And if you get triggered by any of our conversations on any of our episodes, just remember, reach out, get some self-help for yourself, because there's lots of help out there. So let me begin. Jennifer is, well, I lost my train of thought. Jennifer, today I'm joined by Jennifer Wilde G. She's a pranic healer and a scared space holder for those whose life has taken her through childhood abuse, bullying, family instability, motherhood, caring, and a long life journey of healing. Jennifer believes that our pain does not have to be be part of our permanent identity. So today we're going to talk about what does it take to break generational patterns, how to storytelling and spirituality and healing practices can help. It helped find Jennifer to find purpose in what she was surviving. And we're hoping that this is going to help you as well. So Jennifer, thank you so much for being willing to be on the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you.
Jennifer. So before you understood the word trauma, what did survival look like for you as a little girl?
Oh dear. Survival as a little girl looked like reading the room, knowing the emotions of the people that are in the room so that I knew how to be safe and carry myself in that situation. It was scanning for safe people, safe spaces, safe corners, and yeah, making myself, I guess, valuable and needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about I mean that's a lot of standing on eggshells.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. Um, I didn't grow up in a safe environment. My own mother, I guess is a I don't want to say victim, but a product of her own unresolved generational trauma.
Hmm.
She went
Hmm.
through an incredible amount of trauma in her own life and in her childhood, and just didn't have, I guess, the strength or the resources or the means to get through it. And so she ended up just repeating a lot of trauma that she went through herself as a child. Um, my father passed away when I was 11 days old.
Oh,
He was killed by a drunk driver,
oh,
and my mother's next husband was a pedophile. So
oh.
my life began that way and began in trauma. I started being like violently sexually abused by about the age of 1, and my mother knew the entire time. And not only did she know, but treated me as like the other woman, even as an infant and as a child and as a little girl. So talk about confusion, right? Like,
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
Yeah.
the woman that's supposed to be like your protector and your safe space and your life giver is feeding you to the wolves, right? But also telling you that she loves you and you're everything to her. And, like, so just
Wow.
complete chaos and confusion was the beginning of my life. And it
Yeah.
actually took me until like my own healing journey in my 40s that I remembered that she did know the whole time.
Mm.
And it was through my own journey that these memories started to come back and these realizations came back and all these pieces just kept clicking together. And it just was like, oh, okay, now I see the full picture.
Yeah.
And all of these confusing feelings as a child and, your mother telling you that she loves you, but experiencing the very opposite, everything just kind of made sense, right? Yeah, but it took a very long time and a lot of healing to come to that particular
Yeah.
conclusion that she did in fact know the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So growing up was quite confusing.
Hmm.
And I actually was like her, she was quite mentally ill on top of that, right? Like
Oh,
she's not a well person.
yeah.
Clearly, if you're allowing your child to be abused, right? There's other
Yes.
things that are happening there. So I was very much the caretaker in my home, right? Like I took care of my mother, I took care of my siblings, and my mom was just quite checked out, right? So I had to
Yeah.
grow up at a very young age and mother my mother, mother my siblings, take care of my household.
Yeah. Wow.
Um, yeah, so that was the beginning of my life.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
how did those early years and experiences shape your sense of safety, identity, and self-worth as you grew?
Oh gosh. I think that's something I continually work on, you know.
Mhm.
Self-worth is a huge thing for me that I am continually working on. And same with identity also, right? Like I never like wallowed in self-pity or, you know, like I've went through my whole life going like I'm not going to let them get the best of me. Like I'm not going to let them win. I'm too strong for that. I'm, you know, and I was just putting up shields and putting armor around myself and not actually dealing with the problem. I was just kind of stuffing everything under the rug, right?
Yeah.
Um and coming into you know, my later years in my 40s and having kids and stuff, that's when things really started to bubble for me.
Mm.
You know, when I saw my children, my first daughter at 1 year old, um, things started to come to the surface for me to
Yeah.
deal with, right?
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so this is, I think, where um, identity came in, right? And really discovering my own identity again. Because I spent this whole time going, like, I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm good, like, nobody's going to get me. And then things, you know, continually happen. And then little by little, you start to crack
Yes.
and the weight
Yeah.
just becomes too much.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah, remember this and remember this and remember this, and things keep coming. And then you really kind of struggle with your identity, right? And who am I? Who am I? Or who was I before the world got a hold of me, before the
Mhm.
trauma got me? It's
Yeah.
kind of an identity crisis, honestly. Like when you come to this point of healing, right? And of going, okay, like I'm not okay, and I do need some help. And who was I, or who could I have been before this happened to me, right? And
Yeah.
uh, myself shifting from hairstylist to healer has also caused a bit of an imposter syndrome as well, right? Like,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't, aren't we all in an identity crisis? We're in our 40s. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
many people will ask, how does childhood trauma show up in adulthood? So,
Mm,
how did it show up
yes.
in your relationships, in your body, in the
Mm.
choices, or the way you saw yourself?
Um, well, one story I would really like to share with you, because I am a pranic healer, and I have had a lifetime of trauma. And this is not the case for everybody. I don't want to say this is the case for everybody, but in my experience and a lot of experience um, that I've seen with clients and friends and family, the trauma does show up in our body.
Mhm.
Like obviously anxiety, depression, you know, our nervous systems, our emotions, anger, you know, uncontrolled emotions. But for myself, I learned through energy work how directly connected your sex chakra and your throat chakra are. And so,
Oh,
as I was doing this deep healing work in my 40s, I developed a tumor in my throat. And so, I had this, like, you can't really see it here, but it's quite a snake like scar that goes from about here to here. And I, it was developed like it coming from a nerve in my spine, but it was coming out in my throat area. And it just so happened at this time that I found this tumor. This is when I was doing all of my deep healing work and sharing my stories of abuse and of my life. And this is when the tumor kind of presented itself. And so for myself, like that to me was so symbolic of, well, one, the trauma that was done to the other chakra showed up in this chakra area. And two, just the suppressed truth and not being heard for a lifetime of screaming, I'm being raped, I'm being abused, I'm like all of these things, and nobody hearing me, or just not feeling safe enough to speak either, right? So literally created a lump in my throat, right? And
Yes.
so yeah, it very much is a thing, you know, if we
Yes.
don't express our truths, if we don't express our traumas, it will
Yeah.
come out in our body somewhere.
Yeah.
It's my belief.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
no, I 100% believe that. And when
Yeah.
I was in my younger years and stuffing everything down and single mom and just chaos and just a lot of stress, I got chronic kidney infections.
Mm,
And I would end up in the hospital for 7 days on IVs. And later in life, I started to realize that was my shutdown moment.
mm-hmm,
And now I only have one kidney, but it's healthy
mm.
and everything's fine. And I have not had a kidney infection now for, gosh, it's got to be 30 years because I
Crazy what
started.
our body does.
It's
Yeah.
crazy what our body does.
Yeah.
And it was funny because in the beginning you don't realize it. You're just like, oh, I've got this kidney infection. And the doctors are saying, you need to drink more of this, do this, more hygiene, all those kinds of things, which I was doing. And I'm just like, I don't know why I'm getting these kidney infections. But when I look back now, I realize every single time I got one, that was my I need to
Mm,
escape.
mm-hmm. I've had enough. I need a break. If
Yeah.
you don't take a break, the universe gives you a break.
Yes, the universe does. Yes,
Yeah.
sometimes not the best.
No, it's not.
Yeah, and
It's
so
not
it
usually the best.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so it doesn't surprise me that that was happening with your throat. And I think that
Mm,
if a lesson can be learned by what we're talking about at this particular moment for anyone listening is pay attention to when something happens in your body, what's going on in your life.
absolutely. There's always a direct connection. Absolutely everything is spiritual in my opinion,
Yeah,
and interconnected. That
yeah,
spirituality is just that interconnectedness of everything.
yeah.
And there's always
Well,
a direct connection.
yes. Well, what
Mhm.
does generational trauma look like in everyday family life? And how did you begin breaking that cycle in your own family?
Hmm. I think in my family, it was very much, I mean, addiction is a lot of the generational trauma in my family is addiction and abuse, sexual abuse. Um, but I feel like most of it is just unawareness and lack of accountability,
Mm.
like I don't get it, Julie. I just don't get. I don't. Don't understand how people can't see, honestly, sometimes what's right in front of them. Like even as a child, like looking at my mother, I see, hear the words that are coming out of her mouth, but you feel that that's not okay, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, I mean, for myself, not having an example around me of what healthy or normal was, I just did the opposite of what my mother did.
Hmm.
That's how I
Hmm.
changed it.
Yeah.
If my mother
Yeah.
does this, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
If this did not feel good to me, I'm going to do the opposite of that. Like I
Yeah.
did not have an example of a woman in my life to guide me or to even, say like, oh, what your mother's doing is wrong or right, right? So for myself,
Hmm.
it was like the blind leading the blind, and it was just
Yeah.
purely intuition and doing the opposite of what my mother did
Hmm.
and what
Yeah.
felt wrong to me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that, and this, of course, is not excusing any generations at all, but because my mother had some serious trauma that caused issues with my family as well. And I think the, I think that we live in such a beautiful informational era.
Mm,
And so there's a lot of help out there. And I think that there wasn't a lot of help back then.
Mm.
And I think that a lot of times, because my mother was sexually abused by my grandfather, and so but it was, and my grandmother didn't divorce him. They were together over 60 years, and and
And she
it,
knew? Did she
well,
know?
she had three daughters. She must have known. They couldn't have
Right.
their girlfriends over
Yeah.
because,
Mm.
yeah. So I'm sure she knew. Nobody
Yeah.
ever said whether she knew or not, but how could she not? And she's a smart lady. And they
Mm-hmm.
didn't live in a great big 6,000 square foot house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but it was, we don't talk about those kinds of things. So when my mama went through, my mom had her serious trauma, nobody talked about it. And I, excuse me, and I think we talk about things now,
Yeah.
and that's part of the healing. And I think that our previous generations were just stuff it in the closet, don't
Mm-hmm.
talk about it, don't
Mm-hmm.
deal with it, the shame, the guilt, and everything. How can you heal from that? And then, of course, with your mom having a mental illness on top of all of that other stuff, it's just a ticking
Well,
bomb.
yeah, and I think that's the key, right? Is this the talking? Nobody's talking about anything
No,
anymore. And
no,
especially I mean back then, especially the people were not talking about it.
yeah,
But now people are still not talking about it. And this is why I'm here and why you're here and
yes,
why we're doing what we're doing, right?
yes,
Because we need to speak the unspeakable. The shame and the guilt needs to live outside of our bodies and it needs to be put back in the
yes.
hands of the people that it belongs to. It is not ours to carry. It is not
Well
ours to
said.
hold. And we're tired of holding it.
Yeah,
And the only people it is hurting is us. That's it.
absolutely.
That's the
No,
only people it's hurting, you know?
and our own children, because
And our
if we're,
children.
yes, and if we're
Yeah,
not healing, then they're not healing.
exactly.
And it just
Exactly.
continues to get passed down. And
Yeah.
it can be as a scary and tough thing to deal with, but once you start to delve into it and you start to think about your family,
Oh,
it gets easier.
and I'm like, and this is what I love to share with people too, and this is why I love healing circles. Healing can be so incredibly magical.
Mhm.
It does not have to be so heavy and hard and dark. And yes, it is those things. Yes, that you live through those things, right? Um, but we need to let it out. We need to let it out in safe spaces
Mhm.
and share with other people that are too afraid to use their voices, that have been suppressed, that have literally, been, like myself, like my little 4-year-old self. I had a shotgun in my face. Don't tell. I will kill you. I will kill you. I will kill your mother. I will kill your family. Like people
Mm,
have literally like had their lives threatened. And and maybe still in this moment are being threatened to be silent, right? So, um,
yeah. Wow.
yeah, we need safe spaces for women to be able to come to share without judgment, like without fixing.
Yeah.
That's something that's really important to me, right? Like come and share and we're not here to fix one another. We're not broken, but you
No.
need to let the truth exist outside of your body because
Yeah.
it's making you sick, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
So when did you realize that surviving was no longer enough and that you wanted to truly heal?
Oh boy. I didn't realize I needed it. Like I said, I went through most of my life. I was good. I'm like, I partied a lot in my 20s and had a good time. And I didn't really realize, I was just like numbing myself and,
Mhm.
like doing,
Yeah.
coping in unhealthy ways. I'm just like, I'm just young and having a good time. And then I met my husband and we had like many good years together, had a couple of children, and then my husband started getting really sick
Oh dear.
and almost died on me multiple times. And so there I was, three small children, um, and a critically ill husband, no answers as to what was happening with his health. He was complete medical mystery for years, like years and years. They had no clue what was happening with him. And I reached my breaking point. And yeah, I just I was touched out, talked out, completely exhausted. I was taking my husband to the hospital every other week, not knowing if he'd be coming home or not, trying to shield my children from all of that was and how serious it was. By myself. I don't have support of like family or anything like that. I have one aunt in my life that's been a solid, but other than that, like we don't have grandparents or support or anything like that. So, um, it was during that time that everything just started to bubble for me. I didn't realize that I had so much unresolved trauma at that time, and then just caretaking for my husband. It was just the constant caretaking role that I was back in that kind of took me back to my childhood.
Yeah.
And all of this stuff just started coming up, and it just became it just became necessary. I needed to take time for myself. I
Yeah.
wasn't taking
Yeah.
time for myself. I was just taking care of my children, my husband. I have three dogs, and I was the last person, and I didn't have anything left in me.
Yeah.
And I don't want other women to get to that point,
No.
like we need
No.
to take care of ourselves. It is not selfish. Like self-care
Hmm.
is not selfish. So I sought out like counseling. I like for a while I did do counseling. I was on antidepressants. I was exercising, trying to do the things, right? But nothing was actually like treating the root cause. Um, you can only increase your antidepressants so much, and like I couldn't escape or run away from my life. And I love my life. I created this life and built it. I loved it, but obviously didn't see the critical health thing coming in from my husband, right? So that kind of just brought up everything from my past and my childhood, and I just found myself completely overwhelmed and depressed and just
Wow.
searching. Yeah,
That's,
so.
just as you were talking, I'm just thinking about your childhood and then, the crazy things we do in our 20s. I was doing
Mm.
some crazy stuff
Oh
too.
yeah.
And yeah, and then your marriage and your children, and now you're dealing with your husband being critically ill. It's a wonder you made it through all that.
Yeah, honestly, it's like I joke, it's a baby Jesus miracle.
Yeah.
Like there's
Yeah.
honestly, like I
Yeah.
might write a book. There's thinking about coming on your podcast and just like sifting through my stories, like there's just so much.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is life, right? Like, but I did get to a point in my life where I felt like I was cursed. I felt like I
Yeah.
was abandoned by God, abandoned by spirit, abandoned by my family, like parents, life, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And yeah, I felt completely abandoned and alone. And it's a really horrible, horrible place to be,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
when like you're a mother and
Yes.
you're trying to break generational trauma. You're trying not to drag create new trauma for your children and what you're dealing with and going through, and trying to keep the weight of the world off of their shoulders while carrying it on
Mhm.
yours, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it doesn't stop. That's the
No.
thing, right? Like,
No. Yeah.
there's life is continually going to hand us challenges and obstacles and traumas, but for myself, it was really finding spirituality that shifted that for me.
Yeah.
It
Well,
felt,
let's
yeah.
talk about what drew you. And now I'm going to ask you the question, but I think I know. But but what drew you to meditation, prayer, healing circles, and eventually pranic healing?
Oh boy. Well, it was honestly through a series of coincidences. I don't believe in those.
Yeah.
That I found healing circles. And so it's kind of interesting, like my background, like my grandfather is a Baptist preacher, was a Baptist preacher.
Uh,
My father, before he died, was becoming a preacher.
uh-huh.
And my mother and my abuser both went to church every Sunday. Like,
Oh,
so I have this like
yeah.
influence of my life of the church and religion that I have ran really hard from in the opposite direction. Because when your abuser goes to church every Sunday and your mother goes to church, you're just like, you know, something,
Yeah.
the math isn't mathing here. So I when I found I went to a healing circle, And the minute the woman prayed, my entire left brain started to vibrate. And I was like, and she was praying to like the earth and the animals and creator and very earth-based
Yeah.
shamanic circle, which resonated so deeply for me. Like animals and the earth and everything has always just been like a safe haven for me. So immediately I was like drawn in by that. But when she started to pray, my whole left brain started to vibrate, and I was like, okay, I'm going to have a seizure right now, or there's like something very spiritual happening, right?
Yeah.
And so I was completely hooked, and thought it was just incredibly magical. Um, I My first meditation journey, she drummed. She used a drum, and during my first drum meditation journey, my dad came through, and I saw my dad.
Oh,
And he was real as you are to me right now. And he held out his hand, and he held my hand, and he said, I love you. And he's like, I've been here the whole time. I'm always here. And it was just like a conversation like you and me, Julie. And it just
mm,
absolutely blew me away.
wow.
And that
Wow.
is a connection that I had been searching for my entire life, right? Like always been, I just something, just come to me in a dream anyway, Dad,
Yeah.
somewhere, just show me you're here, right? And so when my first meditation, I saw my father, I was like, okay, what is happening? What is this amazingness? And I was just absolutely hooked. And so that kind of began my journey. And so I did that for a couple of years just to heal myself before I actually found pranic healing. Um, so I was kind of introduced to energy work through like the shamanic healing circles and drumming, frequency, sound bath, that kind of thing, um,
Yeah.
which really spoke to me deeply. And then pranic healing. I actually I started with Reiki. I found Reiki, and I ended up going to a psychic, and the psychic was like, "Well," she goes, "I see you healing people," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm doing Reiki." And she goes, "Oh, if you like Reiki, you should check out pranic healing." And I was like, "I've never heard of this," and so I looked into it, and there's a whole other story there, but I don't know how much time we have. But the first class, my very first class that I walked into, there was a huge barn door with a great horned owl on it. And owls are my guy. Owls are my spirit
Oh,
animal. They have been with me for years, at least 10, 11 years. Owl has been very close with me at always super poignant times in my life. And so I walked into my first class, and there was a great horned owl with a woman holding a lantern walking into the owl. And it was one of those, yeah, one of those moments where you're just like,
wow.
oh.
Yeah. Wow. Well, for
uh,
listeners who've never heard of pranic healing, what happens during a session? How do you see it working alongside, but not replacing possibly medical or mental
hmm.
health care?
So pranic healing, we work with your etheric body, your energy body. Um, so we measure with our hands. So I'll go through we have several major energy centers. So pranic healers, we first will scan. So we'll
Yeah.
just kind of get a baseline as to what a normal chakra size is for Julie. And I'll just kind of scan with my hands. What is a baseline for you? What is a normal chakra size? And then I will go through all of your chakras and just kind of measure where they're at, whether they're over activated or under activated, whether they're congested or they're depleted. And then um you're basically laying down the entire time. I'm playing beautiful relaxing music while I'm scanning you. After I scan you, I just clear out the congested energy off of your energy body wherever I find it in balance. And then we add fresh prana um, to all of your chakras and your energy and the places that are depleted. And all of it just makes you feel super relaxed and energized, balanced. Um, but find the main key is like cleaning out, right?
Mm,
Like we carry and live in a sea of energy, and we carry all of this energy in our cells, in our tissues, and our muscles. All of these experiences and traumas that we've lived through in our lives is in our energy, and it's in our cells and our tissues and our muscles. So when we go in there and intentionally clear that energy out from these places, then it translates into deep physical healing for your body and deep relaxation for your mind and spirit.
wow. So
Yeah.
how can it, so if somebody's experiencing, or maybe they're just starting on there, like who's best for this? Like, I mean, I'm assuming everybody can
Everyone.
benefit, of course, everybody can benefit. But if somebody's just starting their healing journey, and they're needing to reduce some of their stress level, get their mental health in order, um, I'm assuming this could really help.
Oh, it's so wonderful. Honestly, it's like a reset for your body, your mind, and your spirit.
Mm,
It takes the weight off, right? It just takes the mental load off, the physical
yeah,
load off, and it just gives you like a fresh start and realigns everything
yeah, yeah,
physically, mentally, emotionally, and um just like in your life, like I've seen people's lives completely turn around just because of just fresh energy. We're just clearing out the old and bringing
yeah,
in new, and it
yeah.
translates into every area of your life.
Well, I think it's similar to what we were talking about in the beginning, where you had your throat, I had my kidneys, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's almost like a blocked energy or something that's going on there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, how often do we do it, right? Like we brush our teeth
No.
every morning, we brush our hair, but how
Yeah.
often are we doing energetic maintenance? People don't know to do it. They don't know it's a
Yeah.
thing, but it is
Yeah.
actually a thing. Like, it's
Yeah.
something that you could do as often as brushing your teeth if you wanted to, right?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
like we're continually cording to people, like connecting energetic cords, like between you and I having this conversation, we're corded right now.
Right.
If you have like an interaction, a bad interaction in public, and you're consistently thinking about that person throughout the day, you're likely corded to that person also, right? And so there's little tips and tricks and things that we can do to just call our energy back to ourselves or bring our energy back to ourselves so that we're not constantly thinking about someone else or they're
Ah.
siphoning our energy, so to speak.
So can you give us a little tip? What would be a tip that you could give somebody if they're experiencing that cord connection and they just can't get that negative experience? Or, and I'm not talking about, major childhood trauma. I'm just talking about like I
Yeah.
had a tiff with a grocery lady, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Something, and that's bothering me. So what can we do to help ourselves a little bit throughout the day?
I just tell people, just you want to go over top of your head, just keep your hand kind of
Yeah.
flat, go over top of your head and in front of your body and just say cut. And it's just that easy, just that intention, right?
Cut,
Yeah, just cut and mentally cut from
cut.
that person.
Ah, you're mentally
You're
cutting.
mentally cutting, yeah.
Oh,
And
I can
sometimes you
feel
need to do it
something there.
repeatedly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, everybody's going to come home and I'm going to be going, just a sec.
Cutting. Just cutting. Do it before you go to bed, Cut those cords
Ah,
before you go to bed so you're not sleeping for other people. Sleep for yourself.
ah, great idea. Great idea. Yeah. Well, we share our stories. And it can be very freeing, but it can also leave us feeling exposed. So, how can a woman know when she's ready to tell her story and when she still
Mm,
needs to protect it? You've
mm,
obviously done some work to be able to talk about what happened to you in your life. So,
mhm.
how can others do that as well?
I just encourage people to find a safe space. Find a safe
Mm,
space. It's who you're talking to, right? It's who you're telling your story to. Um, because not everybody is meant to hear your story, unfortunately. Um,
right.
right? And how you are received is so important, right? And it takes a lot of courage to tell your story. So, um, yeah, I just encourage to find a safe space, find a women's healing circle or just
Mm,
a trusted friend or relative,
yeah.
I just start by telling someone,
Yes.
especially
Yeah.
those of you that have not told anyone anything,
Yeah. Yeah.
just start by telling someone and it gets easier. You know,
Yes.
they lose their grip on your heart every single time you tell them, right? And I think it's just important to keep telling them.
Yeah. That's
Um,
great
yeah.
advice. Yeah. Well, you believe that when one of us heals, we all heal. So,
Hmm.
what does that mean for women listening today and who believes too much has happened to her and it may be too late?
Oh gosh. I felt that way too. I felt like I was too much my whole life. I always felt like I was too much
Mhm.
and I was a burden. Um, like talk about a buzzkill at a party, you know, like
Yeah. Yeah.
the stories that you have and the things that we're holding on to, like people don't, you think people don't want to hear it, right?
Mhm.
But there are people that will listen. There are people that want to hear it. Um, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, no, no, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when one of us heals, you believe that when one of us heals, we
Mm,
all heal. And
mm-hmm.
so for women listening today who believe that maybe too much happened to me,
Mm,
or I'm too old, it's too late in my life, I should have dealt with it
mm.
earlier. So,
Yeah, okay.
what advice can you give to her?
It's absolutely never too late. There is there is purpose in your pain, you know?
Yeah,
Um, I know it's easy to get caught up in like, why me? Or, you know, you don't have much time in your life left. But no matter how much time you have left in your life, you deserve to feel peace in your body. You deserve to
yeah,
feel safe in your body. You deserve to have a calm nervous system and to feel joy. Joy is your birthright. You know, like you don't have to this doesn't have to be at the forefront, you know, this can be a story, this can be history. It doesn't have to be your current reality.
yeah,
Um,
yes,
yeah, and yeah, it's just it's absolutely never too late. And you don't have to do anything with it, you know, like I found the my sole purpose and my purpose in doing pranic healing and holding space for women and continuing the medicine that saved me. And I encourage women to do that if that's in your heart, if that's in your soul, if that's what you want to do. Like I feel like that is our purpose here as humans, is to experience these things and then to help other people that, you know, are just a step behind us get a little bit forward. But you don't have to, you know,
yeah,
if
yeah,
it's just enough for you to just get that story out, for you to heal a little bit, for you to
yeah.
let a little bit of light in and a little bit of peace into your heart so that you can spend the rest of your days in peace, then that's enough too, right? Just to let it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you said that, Jennifer, because sometimes we think, and with the women who come and write in the Women Like Me book, sometimes they want to write, the big, booming stories, and then they go away and they come back a week or a week and a half later and they go, I can't do it, can't do it. And so I try to explain to them that, let's do baby steps.
Mm,
Sometimes maybe you're not ready for that big boom,
yeah,
or let's talk about writing it so that it's not a big boom,
yeah.
because I think we live in our bodies, of course, and in our minds, and sometimes when we're dealing with these things, not everybody, of course, but some can make them bigger in their minds than they really are.
Mm,
Yeah. So, for example, I had a client years ago, and I snubbed her. It was a complete. My mind went blank. I didn't even know who she was. I was so embarrassed, and I got in my car, and then it clicked. It clicked on to me who she was. I started driving down the road, and I'm like, oh my goodness, now I remember her. But it bothered me so much all day. I was almost crying. I could feel like the anxiety because I felt like I had snubbed her. Um,
mm.
and and uh, and so I drove to her home after my appointments, and she was there. She had no clue. She had no clue. So my point in telling people those little stories is that, we're doing it to ourselves.
Yeah,
It's like you
yeah,
say, disconnect, cut,
yeah,
cut it.
yeah.
And
Credit.
because you can go through life thinking about, oh, that thing that I did, or that thing that happened, or the person that I wronged, and
Mm,
certainly, we should, if we feel that we should, then we should apologize or do whatever we need to make amends. But sometimes we don't, because sometimes we're just building it up in our minds, like I did
hmm.
with that client. She's like, "What? What
Yeah.
are you doing at my house? Why are you crying?"
Aw.
Yeah, and but we do that to ourselves. We do that to ourselves. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, so sometimes baby steps are better. And I think with baby steps, we can get more clarity because we go to the next step, and then we go to the next step, and those steps start to get a little bigger.
And the next step will reveal itself and you'll know what to do next.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I, I never thought in a million years I would do what I did, but through my
Mhm.
own healing process, right around the time of the tumor being removed and everything, I went to the police and I told the police my story about my abuser when I was a child.
Wow.
And yeah, it was one of the most healing things that I did. And I knew at the time doing it that probably nothing would ever happen to him, that he'd never see the inside of a jail cell or anything like that. But it was for me. It was for me to
Yes.
speak my truth to the correct
Yes.
people, right?
Yes. Wow.
Um, and that was incredibly healing. So I
Ah.
encourage anybody out there to do the same thing too,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. So that is so courageous of you, and I can see how that could be very healing.
Yeah, and it's just like I said
Yeah.
about just putting the blame back in the hands of the person it belonged to. Why am
Yeah.
I carrying the shame and guilt around and the silence
Yes.
and this
Yes.
tumor and all of this baggage into my relationship and my life when it belongs on this person?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he's the person that silenced me as a child and made me
Yes.
feel like I was a promiscuous, shameful child at,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
um the courage that comes and builds when we begin to share, you just never know what will happen. You really
No.
don't know.
No.
The healing that will take place once you
Yeah.
just begin. You're so worth
Yeah.
it to begin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would just like to say, I want to build on that a bit because you mentioned silence a few times. And
Mm,
silence is the worst thing that we can do. Because
mm-hmm,
silence, when you live in silence, that's when guilt and shame and all of that stuff comes. And
mm-hmm,
that still, and it keeps you quiet, but that
mm-hmm.
guilt and shame is what's going to danger your life, and you're going to possibly pass along generational trauma to your family, and you're not healing, and affects your relationships. And when you, and so many of the women who write in my books, once they get past that silence, the shame is gone, the guilt is gone, and they realize exactly what you just said, that this doesn't even belong to me. This belongs over
Mm-hmm.
there, and that
Mm-hmm.
person can do with it as they see fit. But I'm not carrying it anymore. Because that's what
Exactly.
they do to keep us silenced as children
Mm-hmm.
and even as adults.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. Well, Jennifer, I have just really appreciated your honesty and your willingness to come on and talk. And I know that your hope is that someone is listening that will gain a benefit from your story and your courage and what you went through. Can you give us, if there's a woman sitting out there listening right now that's not really sure, maybe this has triggered her a little bit or touched her, can you give them any words of uh, compassion or encouragement before we go?
Mm. Hmm. I just want you to know how incredibly powerful you are. Um, and you are so worth it to begin. Just begin anywhere. Begin by telling someone your story and watch the magic that unfolds. And I also want to encourage people to pray. As
Yeah.
silly as that sounds, I want people to pray. And if you don't know what to do, pray for the answers, pray for some guidance,
Mhm.
pray for some direction as to where to go. Like we all have, there's so many different healing modalities out there. There are so many, places to seek healing and seek help.
Yeah.
but just begin somewhere, tell someone your story, know that you are so worth it. And once you begin, that thread of energy it'll show you the path. It will light up the way and show you the next step. You just need the
Yeah.
courage to just begin.
Oh, well, thank you for that, Jennifer. And I want
Yeah.
all of you to know that I'm going to have in the show notes information on how you can reach out to Jennifer if you're feeling that she's somebody you would want to reach out to. So all of the links will be there for you. Well, Jennifer, thank you again so much for doing this, and thank you just so much for your courage and I know that by sharing your story, you're going to help others. I know it. I
Oh,
know
thank
it.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate you and all that you do and sharing your stories. I have your
Oh,
books right here. I've been enjoying that.
oh, yay! Thank you, women like me. Thank you
Love
so
it.
much. Thank you,
Beautiful.
Jennifer.
Thank you for all the work that you do. You're doing amazing things, and it's such an honor to be here and to share my
Oh,
story with you.
well, thank you. And thank all of you for being here on this episode of Women Like Me Stories in Business. And we will see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.